performances this week have been greatly anticipated by all our audiences. This is your first time visit to Australia. Can you tell us why you've waited until now to come here?
I think I got sidetracked. One of the main reasons for me to be so excited coming to Sydney is because I have a wonderful musical collaboration with your chef, Maestro Ashkenazy. I'm in awe of his abilities as a pianist, as a musician in total, and I couldn't be more happy being here now.
Beethoven was a brilliant pianist, but he really didn't care much about the playability of his pieces on the violin. So there are different layers of problems one does run across over decades of playing it, but it is the crown of the violin repertoire because it has these wonderful singing lines and it has a philosophy and a kind of embracing the world quality which only Beethoven was able to achieve.
Was it Herbert von Karajan who suggested you first tackle it in 1978?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And what did you think then?
I thought it was that it was terribly early. I think I was 14 when he suggested it, because I auditioned for him when I was 13, and we started with the Mozart concerti, 3 and 5, and then right after that he suggested that I would play the Beethoven concerto, which of course had not been part of my repertoire, and I felt rather uncomfortable, but you know, and he wished for it, so I studied it with my wonderful teacher Ida Stucki. I went to Switzerland. And I still remember I played the first big solo, and Maestro was sitting there with his score, and he was looking up his score, and the only sentence he said was, "Come back next year." I wasn't surprised at all, because I just didn't feel prepared enough. So next year I came back, and we started to study the piece really thoroughly from the viewpoint of the conductor. There are many challenges actually in the concerto. I would say that over the years which I'm playing this wonderful piece, that the narrative of it, the long span, like in German language, the long span musical ideas which need an inner tension to really thread things together, is something which takes a high level of concentration of the soloist as well as of the orchestra, because it's one of the rare pieces where the violin is really in a very tight-knit partnership with the orchestra, where very often the violin is commenting on the theme which is being played by the orchestra and vice versa.
Was Herbert von Karajan a mentor to you? Because when you're such a young person, how does someone like that talk to you and get the best out of you?
He was a wonderful leader, also to the effect of knowing how far he could push in order to enlarge boundaries without really pushing too far. And I am age-wise just in the middle of his two daughters. He has two daughters, Arabella and Isabella, so maybe the fact that I was in the same age than his daughter, so a young teenager when we met, made him be even more careful and caring also about my development as a human being, which made the whole 13 years of our collaboration, right until his death, really one of the most significant musical relationships in my life. Not only on a professional level, but also the kind of leadership he was executing through these 13 years in collaboration with my teacher and developing of my repertoire and giving advices about record contracts and advising me which violin to choose. I mean, that was really more than just rehearsing and giving concerts together.
You mentor young musicians. What do you look for when you mentor them? Can you recognise what, say, teachers of yours saw in you when you were young, in a young musician?
I really don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to find, to recreate a monster here.
No, I didn't mean
Yeah. I'm not into Frankenstein. No, I perfectly understand your question.
Yes.
I just like stupid jokes.
Yes,
Sorry. But matter of fact is, what am I looking what am I looking for? I'm definitely looking for a personality who has an own viewpoint. Might it be even opposite of mine, but a strong own viewpoint with good reasonings behind. A strong musical instinct would be wonderful. Brains would be great. Personality, perseverance, discipline, humbleness, a lot of aspects which, in an ideal world, of course, if they come together, lead to Yevgeny Kissin or somebody as wonderful as the pianist Christian Zimmermann, whom I really admire and adore. Very often, obviously, you find a personality who has one of these items, and that's already a lot. But it's fascinating to actually sometimes find a personality who does not really fit into that, but does very well and is very precious and important in another field of music. And my only advice I can really give to musicians throughout countries, ages, and history is that you have to be honest with yourself and find where your place is in music. It doesn't have to be the soloist. It's sad that for the last decades, the narrowing down to you have to become a soloist, otherwise you are a failure, has become even more harsh than it has been during my youth. And I would wish that we would not condition musicians at the early stage to that one and only goal, and if not, then it has been all useless. The day being a musician is not about yourself. It's really how you serve contemporary composers, for example, best, and how you are able to enlarge repertoire and also enlarge the understanding of today's audiences in terms of what is happening currently around them. Ideally, as a young musician, you're really not interested in the world around you much when you are playing. Or sadly, that in some cases changes. You know, as you become older, you become more aware of what people might expect of you or what you might have to do in order to attract attention, which is losing your artistic innocence, which one should avoid at any price, actually. I always loved making music. Of course, over the years you become more self-critical, if possible, and it's always difficult to keep the balance between the part in your brain which tells you this is just horrible, not going the way you actually want it, and the other part of your brain which thinks it's just the most divine thing ever happening. And between these two poles, you hopefully reach an interpretation which is different from the night before and which is some kind of evolution in your musical past and present stage.